Welcome you to this course, which is Media and Society. Media and Society News Gathering for 200 level students. So this is our first meeting today, and today we are going to be looking at technology and mass media. We're going to look at technology and mass media, and then we're also going to look at how how the mass media affect governance, and also the social effect of mass media. I'll take that again. We're going to be looking at mass media and technology. We're going to look at how the mass media, the effect of it in our social environment, and then also look at how the mass media affect governance. How the mass media affect governance. So these are the areas we're going to touch today to start with. Now, I want to believe that we already have a background knowledge as to what mass media is all about. When we talk about mass media, remember we said that it is the vehicle through which we reach a large heterogeneous audience. From the word media, a vehicle through which we reach a large heterogeneous audience. Remember, our mass media vehicles include the TV, the radio, the online media, and what have you. So all of that make up. We also have the newspaper. You have your books, you have your magazine, you have your journal. So all of that are the vehicle through which we distribute information to a large and heterogeneous audience. Now, technology comes into play. Now, when we talk about technology, we're talking about the branch of knowledge that deals with the creation and use of technical means to advance the society. You and I are not new to technology. Technology has affected every area of our life. Technology has disrupted every phase of human life in the 21st century. Technology has disrupted every phase of human life in the 21st century. Now, the technology that used to be in place in the 20th century is no longer what is obtainable now. There are so many devices in your homes today that before now they were not what used to be, but technology has taken over. If you look at our electronics today, once upon a time we used to use a black and white television. We used to use a very big box those days. When I was growing up, a very big box, black and white. But technology came and turned black and white into colored. Technology came from the kind of television we use those days has a stand, and then or you put it on the table, or it has four legs. But today technology has also moved forward, and now you have what we call your LCD TV, you have your plasma TV, the one you can hang on the wall. Then today you also discover that television too is gradually becoming slimmer and slimmer. It's no longer the bogus device that we used to have those days. If you also look at the automobile industry, you discover that technology too has disrupted the way the automobile industry. So every industry, one way or the other, has been disrupted by technology. So technology is a branch of knowledge that deals with the creation of and the use of technical means to advance society. So technology has come to advance our society, to make life much more easier for us. Now, let's look at Technology has also affected the medicine industry or health industry, affected the finance industry, has affected the construction industry, architectural industry, not to now talk about the finance. You discover that before, manually, you can actually, as a finance person, manually you calculate figures. But today, there are accounting softwares that can make financial, that can make accountant to do their work, their financial practices much more easier. So every industry, has been disrupted by technology. So we're looking at the mass media industry and how technology has affected us. Now let's look at the print industry. The print industry, for example, also has been affected by technology. Once upon a time, when we want to print newspapers, it was manually done. If you go to any printer today, they will tell you about 10, 15 years ago, things were done manually. But today, technology has made the print industry to be much more advanced. Those days, it takes them weeks before they can come out with newspaper. But within 24 hours, you can get a newspaper, on the street. Now, after with the aid of technology, right now, you discover that we have now moved newspapers to what we call online newspaper or digital newspaper. So you can always read newspapers on the go. You can read newspaper on the go. Now, those who are still practicing traditional media have discovered that this technology cannot be wished away. So your regular newspaper, the regular media organization that publishes newspaper have now found themselves online. The same thing too with your television. You discover that you can now watch TV. You can now watch TV online. It's what we call the online television. The online TV, you can go to YouTube, and all that. So technology has affected the broadcast industry too. Like I said before, we used to have the rectangular bus for entertainment, for education, but today on your phone you can watch television. With the aid of your phone, you can go to YouTube. You can go to YouTube. And watch TV. Now, the traditional television stations too also have they have now aligned themselves with the technology of the times to be able to meet up with what is trending now. Take for example, I'm a regular fan of Channels TV. Anytime Channel TV finish reading their news, they will tell you can follow us across all our various platforms. So now, why did they decide to align themselves with their various platforms? What the reason is because technology has made life much more easy. So I don't have to necessarily sit down to wait till the 7 o'clock news, the 9 o'clock news. I can always be on the go. I can be in my car and then I just put on my earpiece and then I just click at the button to their YouTube channel and I'm following what is happening. Today, technology has made us to view things, what we call live streaming. So you can live stream what is actually going on as a result of technology. So technology has affected the way we communicate in mass media. Technology has affected the way our audience consume information. If you also look at the radio, the same thing too with radio. These days we have what we call the internet radio or online radio. That's very important. You can also listen to your radio on your phone. This morning I woke up and I just tuned into a particular station right from my phone. So you don't have to necessarily have the radio box before you can listen to radio. Your mobile phone has been invented in such a way that you can connect to any radio station, as long as you get their frequency modulation, you can always listen to them. So that's what technology has done for us. Prior to this time, it was for you to listen to radio, you must carry your device either with you, or when you get home, you listen to your radio. But today, with my phone, I can do so many things. So that's how technology has come to disrupt the way we communicate. That's how technology has come to disrupt the traditional way of reaching out to audience. That's mass media. Now, technology, we now have what we call the new media. The new media encompass all interactive forms of media. All interactive form of media, like the social networking side, the blogs, the podcasts, and what have you. All of this, technology has made it possible for us to be able to reach out to people outside our own country. With the aid of technology, we are able to reach the world. There's what we call globalization. So the age of the internet has come to enable us reach people across the world. To enable us reach people across the world. So, like I said, as a result of the new media, you now have what we call the web, your websites. You now have what we call the blogs. You now have what we call the social media. You also have what we call your podcast, and many more like that we might not be able to actually talk about. Look at the area of the advertising industry too. So the advertising industry too has actually been affected by technology. So the way we consume advert too has changed with technology. Technology has made it possible for us to bypass the regular traditional way of advertising. For example, we now have what we call online adverts. Advert pops up when you are on a particular website. There's massive out of home, what we call billboards, or what we call billboards. So which are digitally running every day. If you go outside, you see massive screen that are being digitally run, and everybody looks at it and wondering how technology has made it possible for us to be able to to be able to consume advert material online, and then, like I said, through the out of home. We have a digital display. You see a car, and you see that car has something that is electronically powering it for you to see an advert running on it. That's what technology has been able to do for us. So technology has really disrupted media operates these days, and because everybody has now moved with technology, so the operators, the mass media practitioners, don't have any choice than to also move with this trend. Now, what are the advantages of technology? One, innovation. Advantages of technology. Technology has enabled us to consume media on the go, media content on the go. So media content is consumed on the go. That's number one. Number two, as a result of technology, we can consume media content with speed. So speed is what technology has brought to us. Technology has brought speed. That's number two. Number three, technology has brought innovation. Technology has brought innovation. Number four, technology has brought creativity. You'll agree with me. Number five, technology has brought dynamism. So technology is dynamic in nature. You can see one design today, tomorrow is another design. Number six, technology has enabled competition. So there's competition in the industry. Everybody wants to outdo the other. One company, one media agency wants to outdo the other, and that is good for the industry. So technology has enabled us technology has enabled media organization to grow better, and also to bring about competition. And when there is good competition, you discover that there's growth. Where there's competition, you get the best of content. Today we have the cable TV station. Technology is also what has actually brought about the cable TV station that you and I know of. The DSTV, the Star Times, and whatever name they bear. You know, the competition has allowed them to give us content that we can decide to make a choice. So number 7, another advantage of technology is that it has brought about globalization. Globalization. You can choose to screenshot the screen. If you can have, if you can see my screen, you can screenshot it for your own good. So technology has allowed consumers to have a choice. The people at home, the audience are the one who are consuming advert content. So technology has allowed the viewers, the audience, to make a choice. Another point is that better delivery, and then there is what we call return on investment. Now, when I talk about return on investment, we're referring to advertisers. Advertisers now have a good run for their money because when they place an advert in any of the mass media platforms, they can have it displayed across the spectrum of the platform that we have talked about. And as a result of that, advertisers have a good run for their money. So that is return on investment. Advertisers invest to advertise their brands. And so they are not limited to just the TV alone. They are not limited to the radio alone. They can now have opportunity of having the same advert placed where on the internet across on the internet, across websites of all of these media platforms, and then you and I will see it. The mobile phone that we hold in our hands too is also a tool for us to quickly receive content, and once content is received by targeted audience or the audience that advertisers want, then it makes them get good return for their money. So technology has changed the world. It has impacted communication in many ways. Technology has changed the world. It has impacted communication in many, many ways. So that's just in a nutshell. There are still so many other points, but we need to move ahead. So technology has disrupted the mass media. It has changed the world. It has impacted communication in many, many ways. So I want you to just take your time to research more about this, how technology has impacted the mass media industry. So it has its advantage and it's had its disadvantages too, but the advantages are much more than the disadvantages. Okay, so let's look at mass media and social effects. The social effect of mass media, the social effect of mass media, the social effect of mass media, the social effect of mass media. Now, when we talk about the social effect of mass media, we are simply referring to how the consumption of media content and its influence in the society. When we talk about the social effects of mass media, we're saying how the content that we get from the media, we're talking about how it affects us socially, how it affects the consumers socially, how mass media affects the society. There are various ways the mass media content that you and I consume, how it affects the society. And this is a very good topic for final year students for research. Several people have done research on the social effect of the mass media. Now, we said that the way we consume social media content has changed dramatically, and that mass media content are received across several platforms. Oh, I forgot to mention the film and the movie industry. The film and the movie industry. That's where the YouTube comes in. You can download movies on your phone. It's not a must that you have to go to a cinema. It's not a must you have to sit down on your TV screen. But from your Android phone, you can download movies. There are apps that you can download to watch movies. So now, whether we like it or not, the more we consume television, the more we consume media content, there's a way this content affects us. There's a way this content affects us, either directly or indirectly. Several mass media or mass communication scholars have done research, and they have come up with several theories that prove the fact that consistent consumption of mass media content affects us in every way. I'll come back with that again. There are several mass communication scholars who have come up with theories on the way or about the way the mass media content affects us. So one of the ways in which it affects us is socially. So the mass media has its own social effect as a result of consistent consumption. The mass media is such a powerful tool, and that's why across all nations they cannot do without the mass media. The mass media affect every area of our life: the entertainment industry, the educational industry, the information industry. The mass media cuts across. Remember the functions of the mass media, the three core functions of mass media, which includes information, education. That also, beyond these three, the mass media affects. So there are theories to prove that. Now, number one, the media can serve as a force of socialization when it is used as a primary source of information presented consistently. We're talking about the social effect now. Remember, I said social effect deals with how the consumption of media content affect or influence the society. Now, I said the first one is that the mass media can be a force of socialization when it is used as a primary source of information when presented on a consistent basis. We have talked about one of our classes. We have talked about socialization. When we talk about socialization, we're talking about the way in which the various sectors of the society connects, the way in which all the various sectors of the society connect. Now, every nation is divided into sectors. We have the health sector, the educational sector, we have the religious sector, we have the financial sector, and so on and so forth. Now, the media has been able to be a connecting force of all of these sectors. We also have what we call, the nation has been connected, has been divided into institutions. So we have the financial institution, the family institution, the religious institution, the health institution. So the mass media has been able to bring us, all of us together. We can connect with ourselves as a result of the as a result of the mass media, as a result of the content that we consume from the mass media. So that helps the socialization process of mankind, because we are all social beings, and because we are all social beings, there's a limit to which you can socialize with people. And so the mass media has now become a tool of socialization, bringing institutions together. I can know what's happening. For example, let's look at the coronavirus pandemic as a case study. You and I can know what is happening in the north. For those of us who are down south, we can know what's happening in the east. We can know what's happening down north as a result of the mass media. Every day you tune on your television, you tune on your radio, across the social media, you hear information from different sectors of our economy. So that can only with the with the effect of the mass media. So the mass media serve as a force of socialization in any society. Now, the next point is that the mass media can cultivate false perception of reality among users. Mass media can cultivate false perception of reality among users. Remember, our topic is how the mass media affect us socially, or the social effect of mass media. The next point is that the mass media, as a result of its potency, as a result of its power, can cultivate what we call false perception of reality among users. Now, what do we mean by this? A lot of time we watch movies, we watch programs on television, and then many of us, there's this way it affects us, that we think that what's happening is actually the real thing, whereas it is just being acted. I remember those days when we used to watch, wrestling match on TV, and then after finish watching, you watch once, you watch twice, you watch thrice, and before you know it, you start fighting with your brothers, you start fighting with your neighbors. We have seen people do so many things as a result, thinking as a result of what they watch on TV. And so we have what we call false perception. So it's a false perception of reality among users. So the media can cultivate false perception of reality among users. The next point is, the media or TV violence can influence consistent viewership, leading to antisocial behavior. TV violence can influence consistent viewership, leading to antisocial behavior. There are so many movies that are violent, that are full, so many movies full of violence today. So many movies that are full of violence, and you see the effect in the life of young youth, in the life of children. There have been several cases in America, in Europe, where a child will watch a very violent film. A child will watch a film where they are using gun to kill one another, and before you know it, this child takes his father's gun and then go to school and start spraying, start shooting violently, his classmates. We have seen children who pick up knife as a result of the movies they watch, and then they begin to stab their colleagues. We have seen youth who began to smoke as a result of consistent consumption of media content. So that's what this one is saying. TV violence can influence consistent viewership, leading to antisocial behavior. You also have what we call politically. Media can reinforce a person's voting choice. The media also has an influence in your choice of who to vote for, as a result of the adverts that they throw to us across the media. You discover that you tend to have more interest. You tend to have a liking for one candidate above the other. You tend to follow a particular party, because of what you have been watching on the screen, because of because of the content that you receive across the various social media. If one particular party's advert is heavily pronounced or projected, you tend to follow that. You tend to believe that that party will have what it takes to rule, to govern. So the media can be, politically, media can reinforce a person's voting choice. So media can reinforce a person's voting choice. Now that's why you see that most of the time, a lot of all these media organizations, during the time of during electioneering, campaign, they'll tell you that they want to have election debates, where the candidates will come and they come to speak, to come and tell us what their manifesto is. Now, you discover that a situation where a particular candidate is frequently being projected, the viewers tend to embrace that candidate much more than the other person. I remember Agbaje, and I don't know whether it's Ambody or thereabout, one of these, APC versus PDP. The media were projecting more of the APC candidate against that of PDP. And before you know it, psychologically, everybody began to tilt towards APC. And that's what the media can do. So the mass media can reinforce a person's voting choice. And then finally, we have media can be used for advocacy, media can be used for education. Now, what do we mean by advocacy? We have been talking about COVID-19 pandemic, and you have been seeing campaigns that has to do with we have been seeing what has to do with how to prevent yourself. You watch the one that talks about washing of your hands, maintain social distancing, use your mask, how to use your mask right, and so many things like that. So that kind of advert is referred to what we call as advocacy or education. Advocacy. We are trying to advocate, telling us the danger of coronavirus and how to prevent us from being affected by this virus. So media can be used for reinforcement in the area of advocacy. Media can be used, to influence education. Right now, Ministry of Education has partnered with many media organizations to be able to ensure that the educational system continue, is not disrupted. Very early this morning, I watched, I tuned the TV for the children to watch, lectures going on, and similar to what JBTS2 is also doing. So media has what it takes to influence education. Media has what it takes to influence what we call campaigns or advocacy concerning certain things. Of cancer, there have been advocacy about cancer. There was advocacy during Ebola virus too. So the media has a way of influencing our society. So that is just the most I can take under this one, which is the social effect of the mass media. So social effect of the mass media, you can research more on this. Now, the last aspect of what we want to talk about today, before we call it a day, is how the media affect good governance. How the media affects good governance. How the media affect governance. Now, what makes good governance in any democratic nation, in any nation generally? What are the things that make up governance? I have about 5 minutes more. Now, fundamental human rights are a country where fundamental human rights is upheld. Number two, a country where there's good governance is one, social welfare. Number three, freedom of expression. Freedom of expression. Number four, justice. Number five, rule of law. Rule of law is operational. Rule of law must be operational. Number six, there must be media independent or independent of the media. And then you have number seven, the media must be seen as the fourth estate of the realm. The media must be seen as the fourth estate of the realm. Now, let me quickly run through that again. 7 points. What makes for good governance in any democratic nation, or in any nation that any nation that's what is solved. Let me just use that word. One, fundamental human rights. Number two, social welfare of the people, freedom of expression of the people, justice for the people. There must be fairness and justice. Number 5, the rule of law must be in operation. Remember what the rule of law is. That means everybody must be subjected to be subject to the law. The rule of law must take its course. Nobody must prove that it's above the law. Then number 6 is independence of the media. Number 7 is media must be seen as the fourth estate of the realm. Now, what is the role of media in governance? 1, there must be accountability. The role of the media is to ensure that there's accountability in governance. Number 2, editorial independence. The media must ensure that it is not partisan and that in operation, it must express, it must operate as an independent body. The media must not tilt towards any party. It must not tilt towards the government. It must play the middleman, giving voice to the citizen and then relaying what the government wants him to do also to the people. So there must be editorial independence. Number 3, access to information. The role of the media in governance is to ensure that there is access to information, because they are the vehicle that transport information to the people. So in the role of the media in ensuring good governance in any nation is that the media must ensure that everybody have access to information. And then the last but not the least, the list is exhaustive. It's non-exhaustive. Number 4 is the media must act as a watchdog. You know what we mean by watchdog? We have talked about being watchdog in our other classes before now. Now, let me quickly give us the assignment. Let me quickly give us the assignment for this course. The world has become a global village. Technology has made the world to become a global village. I want you to just explain your understanding of this. How has technology made the world to become a global village? So that's the assignment. How has technology made the world to become a global village? Then, secondly, summarize how. Okay, do you get that? Summarize how the world has become a global village due to communication revolution. I want you to summarize how the world has become a global village due to communication revolution or due to mass media revolution. Summarize how the world has become a global village due to communication revolution. Due to communication revolution. And then the second one, in what ways does the media influence violence in children? In what ways does or has the media influence violence in children? And then the last but not the least, how has the mass media affect our response to COVID-19? How has the mass media affect our response to COVID-19? How has the mass media affect our response to COVID-19? How has the mass media affected our response to COVID-19? Maybe you should drop the one about the children. Let's make it just 2. Let's make it 2. The first one, summarize how the world has become a global village due to communication revolution or mass media revolution. And secondly, how has the mass media affected our response to COVID-19? How has the mass media affected our response to COVID-19? So this is the much we can take today till we meet again next week for this course. Make sure you send the assignment to my email, Mr. Yinka or Mr. Padunu at Mr. Padunu onlineclass@gmail.com. Mr. Padunu onlineclass@gmail.com. Mr. Padunu onlineclass@gmail.com. So send these 2 assignments and then we take it from there by the next class. Thank you very much.